I'm Libby Brodie, certified wine consultant, columnist and communicator, and currently I'm on the beautiful rolling hills of the wine route of Lisboa. These gorgeous vine-coloured slopes not only provide some stunning views, a bit like the one behind me right now, but they also act as protection for the vines growing here, and they ensure that beautiful, vibrant freshness that we've come to love in their wines. Speaking of which, let's go try some. Well, not all offices are created equal. This is absolutely beautiful. We are here at Quinta da Folgorosa, and I am here with Thomas, who I believe took over this estate in 2019. I'm very intrigued. Obviously, it's stunning, but what drew you to this region? Why did you love it so much?
Well, this region here, it's very influenced by the Atlantic. We have, as you can feel now, we have a bit of the Atlantic winds coming. So here we have humidity during night, which makes all our farming here dry farming. We don't need to irrigate. And we get the minerality from the Atlantic Ocean. So the wines here are typically Lisbon style with quite high minerality, quite high acidity. So they are sometimes a bit challenging, but with an explosion of flavors and very, very, very fresh.
And I have to ask, we've been to other places that are lower. We're obviously on a hilltop here. There is a windmill and various wind turbines around us. What does that bring to the wine, the sort of elevation aspect?
Well, the elevation is good for viticulture part of wine, because the wind is our best friend. The wind makes the days being dry, so the humidity from the night is drying up quickly. The elevation is also good for the clay limestone soil here, so it doesn't get too wet when you have the rainy time. So it is hilly, but it's not too steep. So I think this is perfect, and also the views are lovely here. You can see miles around here, and
I'm really impressed by the views, and it's amazing that we're only half an hour drive away from Lisbon Airport. Is that correct? Yeah. I mean, it just feels absolutely miles away from any city aspect at all. And as a wine region, I think the Quinta has been making wine since 1711.
Yeah, they produced wine here for hundreds and hundreds of years, and history here has a very English connection as well. Here was the place where Wellington built his very famous Líneas de Torres Vedras, the lines which protected the French from taking over the Lisbon region again.
Did you like the wines? Did you enjoy a few bottles while he was waiting?
As we are tasting now, he liked the Arinto. He said that this region is the home of Arinto and what's the best wines he had ever drunk. I don't know if it's true, but people say that this is documented. He also actually sent a bottle of wine to his worst enemy, the Marshal Junot, which was the right-hand man of Napoleon, who had his camp in our very fields. And when Junot was injured, he was sent to the hospital in Santarém, and the story says that Wellington sent him a bottle of Arinto from this place to greet him a quick recovery.
Wow, I'm not sure if that's chivalrous or a bit of a burn, but either way, the wine would probably be delicious. May I actually try? Can we try some of this Arinto? So this is yours. Please.
Yeah, so this is 100% Arinto, and Arinto is the main grape in this area. It's a very, very fresh grape. It's a grape which you also can keep in your wine cellar for quite a long time.
I've tried a few Arintos from the region at the moment, and this to me, it seems quite light, quite delicate, quite a pretty wine. Yeah. It's got that lovely freshness that you were just describing there as well. It's
interesting that it's only Arinto. You don't see so much 100% Arinto. Arinto is normally used to blend. But I think the freshness of this goes very well with that type of cheese, which is, I'm not a cheese maker, but it's very, very round and quite fresh in the mouth. So
Well, I'm a cheese enjoyer, and this is a great combination.
this is the queen of the grapes in this region.
Fantastic. What a bottle to send to your enemy. Which is the other one that we have now as well?
Yeah, this is the king. This is a Touriga Nacional. And Touriga Nacional is, as you know, the main thing in the port wine, which all the English knows a lot of. But Touriga Nacional is also one of our main grapes for our blends. But this is an explosion of tastes.
Got a wonderful perfume to it. It's very evocative and a wonderful long finish there. That goes on and on.
Yeah, this is quality.
Perfect way to spend an afternoon or morning or any time really. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for having us here. I can't wait to tuck into some of this beautiful cheese and meat you've got going on. This looks brilliant. So thank you so much. It's been a delight. Cheers. Delight it certainly is. Though, as much as I'm trying to sneak off into the vineyard with my very own bottle of wine, we have to carry on. It's no hardship though. We're heading for an absolutely fantastic meal of local specialities like quail and fig parcels beside the swimming pool. Of course, the weather has other ideas. So we're outside by the pool, very pool weather we've got going on here. I think I may have brought the weather with me from England, so apologies for that. But also it shows that this is a real programme because wine is a real product grown in the real soils and the real climate. And we provided a real thunderstorm. So what are we actually drinking in the thunderstorm?
First, thank you, Libby, for bringing the weather with you, because we have done a plantation the other week and it needs water. So that's perfect for us.
I'm here to help.
What we have here for tasting is a Falatório Rosé. It's a rosé from 2019. I was talking earlier when we met that about the wines are for lasting quite some time. This is a rosé which usually is drink early. This is a 19 rosé.
Wow, so you can age these rosés. It's a lovely colour. That's so vibrant. Look at that.
So one from 2019, so we would expect more color. That's okay. And you start to notice some evolution of the wine, which makes sense. It's a 19 and it's supposed to be used in its proper place.
It's got real depth to it. Would you say that a rosé like this, with this kind of structure and depth, is better suited for food pairing? Because you've got sort of a quaffable pool. We are poolside. How many glasses before I jump in the pool? That's the real question. But you have sort of a poolside rosé. This seems more of a food pairing rosé. Am I right?
Yes, this is more of a food pairing because of all its intensity and volume in the mouth. It makes it more suitable for pairing with some food. Even it's just easy finger food, something that you snack. But yes.
Absolutely. And sorry, what are the grapes in here again?
This rosé is made with Bastardo. We also have a single variety Bastardo red wine that I would want you to taste. But for now, this is what we have.
Wow, it's absolutely stunning. I think we are. I hear there's a bit of rain, which I'm happy to have done a favour and brought with me. So what are we trying now?
Single variety Bastardo.
Ooh. And this is a grape of the region. Is it a very typical grape?
Typical grape, which is now known throughout regions. For example, Douro has some nice Bastardos as well.
Now this is actually a surprisingly light colour. I somehow thought it was going to be a much deeper, richer red.
I told you it was a red and that made your mind into a red. We do not do much extraction of the wines, not overripe. We want the variety to show itself, and sometimes it does need to be, because the aromas are more light, we need to not push much on extraction, and thus we have this wonderful aroma, very intense and not so deep color, but we don't need much more on deep color.
It's got some really fine tannins in that, lots of fruit, lots of floral, a really juicy finish as well.
And this all comes from the grapes. Actually, it's the plot of the Bastardo is the one right beside us.
We're surrounded by Bastardo.
Yeah.
Surrounded by Bastardo. And a little bit of rain, quite a lot of thunder, or maybe that is my stomach rumbling. I think we are going to have lunch with you now, is that right?
Yes.
So before we get too wet, or electrocuted by lightning. Let's pop inside.
Let's go.
It may be thunder and lightning outside, but inside it's cozy and the views are still spectacular with a glass of wine in hand. I think you can actually stay here. But not for us, we're back on the road for the next winery. It's a hard life. Thank you so much for welcoming me to Casa Santos, Lima. Now, as I understand it, you're the big daddies, right? Is that correct?
We are the biggest producer in the Lisbon region, yes.
And is everything, as far as we can see, yours?
In Lisbon, in this region, we have around 450 hectares, more or less, of vineyards. The biggest part is here. The good part of this is because the winery is just in the middle of the vineyards, which facilitates all the logistics, so it's easier for us, and the terroir is also great.
I mean, it's an incredible view that we have here.
Yeah.
This is sensational. And you were just talking about the terroir. I mean, you've got these beautiful rolling hills going on here. I mean, what about this region makes your wine so special?
So, if I have to summarize in two words, the terroir and the tradition. And I'll explain you a little bit more in detail. So, the terroir here we have clay and limestone, which is great for the grapes. One of the biggest advantages is that we don't have to irrigate the vineyards, so everything is naturally irrigated, which is perfect for the vineyards. We also have gentle slopes, as you can see, which gives different sun exposition to the vineyards, which we can adapt depending on the grape variety that you plant. And then there is one very important thing, which is we are very close to the Atlantic Ocean. So in a straight line, we are more or less 20 km from the Atlantic Ocean, but at the same time, we are protected by a hill just on the back, which it's called Monte Junto, and that hill allows us to protects us from the rough winds and humidity of the ocean. So we still have the benefits of being close to the ocean, but at the same time, we are protected from the more rush weather of the ocean. The advantage is that we can produce any type of wine. So we can make a sparkling wine to a late harvest.
Now, this is fantastic. It's my first sparkling of the region. Will you please tell me more about it? I love sparkling wines.
So this is called Bruto de Portugal. It's a sparkling made out of two grape varieties, Erinto and Chardonnay. So Chardonnay, international grape variety, and Erinto, it's a very typical grape variety from the region, and it gives a lot of acidity. It has a lot of citrus notes, so it combines perfectly with the Chardonnay.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously know Chardonnay in Champagne, making excellent sparkling wines there. I don't think I've ever had it blended like this before. It's got that really sort of a fine, creamy mousse to it, but as you were saying, it's very fresh.
Yeah.
And it does still have that slight salinity to it that I'm sort of getting through in this wine as well. It's stunning and perfect, may I say, for this location, because it's so romantic. You were just mentioning tradition then, and we are in a traditional family home. Is that right?
We are. So we are currently at Casa Santos Lima. It's a family wine business. The current CEO, it's the fourth generation. I represent the fifth generation of Casa Santos Lima, and it's been a family wine business that has been in the wine since the beginning. So we started producing wine in the late 19th century. We are mainly an export company, so we export 90% of our production to UK and other countries. Of course, UK is a very important market for us.
Lucky us.
Yeah,
lucky us,
and lucky us as well. And because since the beginning we started exporting. So our first market was Brazil, which is a natural market for Portugal, let's say like this, since the beginning, and then we continued, and now currently we sell for above, 60 countries more or less.
So how many varieties do you plant here?
The good thing about this region is it allows us to make sparkling wine to late harvest. And that's because of the flexibility of the region, that's because of the weather and the terroir. So we have planted here around 55 grape varieties, which is a lot, and that shows the diversity and the typicity of this region, in the sense that you can make, it's like the perfect spot for a winemaker, because he has a lot of ingredients to make whatever type of wine he wants to make.
This region really sort of suits everyone because with the over 50 varieties, you're definitely going to please everyone and find something to suit most dishes.
It's true, a little bit, yeah. I think you're totally right.
And this is really wonderful. Thank you for sharing this
You're
beautiful
welcome.
moment with me.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for coming.
Well, the rain doesn't seem to be clearing, so maybe we'll just take my new car here. Okay, that's not really mine. But onwards we go into the thunderstorm to talk to our final winemaker of the day.
Well, this evening I'm here with Hugo Mendes, or as I should potentially call you, the Wizard Apprentice. That's what you're known as, is that right?
Yes, for a while.
And you have quite an unconventional approach to wine and story of how you got into wine. Very different to some of the other people I've been speaking to, so please let me know how you got into it.
Well, actually, wine in my life is like is a passion. I studied biotechnology. I wanted to work in medical research, and when I start to look for other things to do, wine came up, and then I made a vintage in a winery, and I fell in love. So I start from there.
Oh, wonderful. And I think it's almost time for a drink, right? I feel like, that's been a good 2 seconds. It's time for a drink. Because some of your wines are a bit unconventional as well.
Yeah.
What are we going to start with?
Well, with an orange wine.
Amazing.
Is the whitest one that we have today.
Okay, great. Shall I?
Let me
There we go.
just put some on the glass.
Lovely. And so orange wine, I always think of it as sort of a white wine made in a red wine way,
Yeah, you can call it.
with that skin contact. So why did you make this? Tell us a bit about it.
Well, actually, this is made with a native grape from Lisbon called Arinto, and I did because I like this kind of wines, and well, it's also becoming a trend, and I wanted to make my own trials, and so I did.
It's got some lovely apple notes to it, I'm finding, and a great structure from that skin contact. And I noticed that, just like you're doing some sort of like funky modern style of wine, your labels are quite different too. Can you tell me a bit about some of these?
Okay, so actually, my freedom to do these kind of labels is because I don't have any grandfather or great-grandfather to get the shame of what I'm doing. So I'm really free to do whatever I want. And I strongly believe that wine, it's a little bit boring talking about wine, the
Excellent.
bottles. So, and I think everything must be fun. You drink wine not when you want to get serious. For me, it's all about pleasure. So if you have a good label, I think it will increase the pleasure you will have with the wine. So and so I get this space to, like in wines like this, to promote some amateur artists' art.
It's very exciting and dynamic as an idea and design, and I can see it appealing definitely to younger people, maybe who not that we're encouraging young people to drink, but getting the sort of younger people interested in wine, and as you say, not seeing it as quite so stuffy. May I try the next one?
Sure.
This looks really cool as well.
Sure. So the next one, it's a claret.
I love that colour.
So claret, it's a wine. It's a red wine actually, but you don't let it ferment with the skins for more than 1 or 2 days. So you press the wine at the beginning of the fermentation, and everything will end up on the tank. So you get all this nice fruit. It has a low tannin, some acidity. So it's a wine that you can drink at the summer, fresh.
Yeah, this is and you'd serve this lightly chilled?
Yeah.
Because this is really, it's like crunchy, juicy,
Yes.
really bright, vibrant fruit coming through there. It's quite a joyful wine, like quite playful in itself.
It is, and most of my wines, I like that idea of the wine to be simple, to give you full pleasure, but to be part of the moment, not to be the moment, you know.
Yeah.
So I want the wines to be fun and
Pleasurable.
light, and yeah, to enjoy, to help you enjoy the moment.
So I have to ask, with a wine like this, which is quite, you know, I would say unusual in many ways, what would you pair with it? What typical food of the region would you say this would go with?
Well, in Lisbon, I must say sardines.
Really, with this?
It's yeah, and we are starting the time of it, so yeah.
And this would go perfect with sardines. I can imagine that. I really can. And you wouldn't necessarily always think of pairing what people would think of as a red wine with a fish, particularly an oily fish, because people get worried about tannins.
It's a fat fish.
And this
so
is a
normally
fresh,
you need
tannin.
to have some acidity to cut. So I think it will be perfect with this.
This is like a lovely summer's day. I can imagine being like overlooking the sea with the sardines and this wine. Stunning. Now I have to knock this back now because so I can try the next wine on the list. I don't know which one I'm going to knock this one back. Okay, ready? Cheers.
Yeah.
That's really great. Can we try the third?
Okay.
Please? Thank you.
So the next one, it's a Castelão. Castelão, it's a common grape here, and in my opinion, during too many years, we didn't look at it the right way. So Lisbon actually, you had some regions that respected and kept that grape, and Lisbon, I think it's one of the most important regions that are picking this kind of grape and making new wines, fresher wines. You know, taking out all the this is a note, so. Giving it some light and some freshness, and to let the terroir appear, if you want, to be that poetic.
Be that poetic. I feel like Lisbon's a very poetic place. Beautiful architecture, beautiful scenery, and the sort of the culture, the food and everything. It seems quite poetic. And speaking of that, I have to comment on the corks here.
Sure.
Because I absolutely love this. Every vintage has a different saying or message on the corks. And though it did scare me a little bit when you passed this to me and I read, "Many that live deserve death," it turns out that it's actually the start of a longer quote by Gandalf the Grey, which is, I love that. That's a part of the playfulness of wine and the interest there. It's a bit like a fortune cookie for wine lovers. What made you do this?
I always had the idea that few people will see the message, but I believe that the ones that see will have a good moment. Imagine you take the cork with your friends, and then somebody reads and you start discussing what is on the cork. I like that idea of small details. And actually, I'm a frustrated writer. So as I cannot write the things I would like to read, I read. And the best things are the moods, or I put in the corks.
And I do like the idea of inspiring conversation, like a glass of good wine, which always, the whole thing about wine is coming together around a table, chatting with people, the flow of conversation. This also inspires that conversation. So it's a wonderful addition. And I have to say, I love how you're thinking outside of the box, doing sort of a new approach to wine, a fresh approach to wine. And these wines are beautifully fresh. I'm going to request that you leave me that bottle, maybe all three. So thank you so much for sharing these with me. I want to say, how do you say cheers in Portuguese?
Saúde.
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 Saúde. I'll try. You say it for us.
Okay.
Saúde.
Saúde.
Well, my pronunciation may not be spot on, but my wine drinking certainly is, as is my appreciation of this wonderful area of the wine world. The rain isn't stopping, so it's time to hole up and reminisce about the fantastic people I've met and places I've seen while here. Cheers, everyone.